Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra, read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra, read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra, read about it.
It's going down. B.Woods on the mic podcast, and we have somebody very, very special on today's podcast. Just a very integral part of the journey at the beat in radio. A lot of times we take the time to celebrate our jocks, and we celebrate the engineers, and we celebrate so many different people, and the people that actually kind of make things happen that you don't see and they don't have parades for, are the people doing the work that makes life amazing so that you can see what's popping. And so I had to bring on my girl, Stephanie Lee. She was not only just a receptionist at the beat, but at the time, if going back in the day, it was like you had the gatekeepers. You saw everybody there before it was popping at the station. And not only that, you were like the homie to everybody. Like when I was at the station, I was just like, you made me feel so at home. Because I was just so intimidated. So just your greeting, your presence just made it so dope. So I had to definitely give you your flowers and bring you on the podcast. How you feeling?
I'm great, thank you. I love that intro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, and your journey. So you're locally from LA. Where exactly are you from, Steph?
Born and raised in Compton.
Compton, Cali. The hub city. Yeah, that's dope. And the biggest thing, like, for you was you're like a music head. You're still like a music junkie to this day. Yes. And being in Compton, what was like, just before you even got to the radio station, what was your experience like? What were you doing, and what made you start to like inquire about the beat, and what happened to get you to the beat?
Well, honestly, I've been around the business for a while. My mother worked in radio. She was actually an accounting person over at KJLH back in the 70s. So I grew up around the industry pretty much. But as far as getting into the beat, it was an accident, honestly. It was an accident. At the time, I was working, I think I was temping at the time. I had just left working at a credit union as an ATM custodian. I used to put the money in the ATM machines. So that was a big thing, but I kind of wanted to get out of it because it was dangerous at the same time, and I was really scared.
Back and back in the day, it was just like there was no like the digital money and all that. It was paper. They were making movies about heist and all that stuff, so people were on the come up. And you were and Compton, my God.
Well, actually, I worked at the Manhattan Beach Credit Union, but used to be craft. Yeah,
still
right. So I left there, and I happened to be temping, and I was on what is that? I can't think of the name of the center, but it's on Wilshire, not far from the station, but it used to be an Apple Temps office over there. It's actually right across the street from the SAG-AFTRA office.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into an old friend who you may know. His name was Amon Parker. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
We were good friends back when I worked in the mall in Del Amo, and I happened to run into him. He was working at Down Low Hookups back then.
Down Low Hookups, you taking me back? Hookups. Yeah.
So I ran into him in the lobby, and he told me that he was working at Motown at the time. So he's like, "Yeah, well, you looking for a job?" And I'm like, "Yes." Turns out he tells me, "Well, yeah, I just came from the beat, and they're looking for a receptionist." And I go, "No way." So I ended up going down there, filled out the application. I met Maxine, interviewed with Maxine, an interview with Craig Wilbraham. and the rest is history.
And so like so take me back. So like, what was your, as just like a listener to the beat, like what was your relationship like with that? How, what excited you about the beat, and what was your experience as a listener just listening to the beat?
I think as a listener, it was just
before you worked at the station.
Before I worked at the station.
Yeah.
It was a nice turnaround from what, you know, radio was at the time. It was different, it was new, and coming on at the station, when I found out I got the job, I was at a I was temping for Princess Cruises, and I happened to call and get a message from Maxine where she says, "Yeah, we'd like to offer you the job." I must have screamed so loud.
And you did it, and it's so crazy because it's just like at the time, like the beat is just like this the hottest station, the hottest station. You talking about everybody was listening, and anybody, you just wanted to be a part of that energy. And you talking about like Maxine, she was like the overall, like the angel of the office, making sure. So shout out to Maxine. And now you kind of, do you remember your first day at the beat, like just walking in?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I do not. I guess I'm old now.
No, you
all of 22, 23 then.
Yeah, it's been a minute. And so now you're at the beat, and now you're in a position to where in most cases you're the first face that people see when they walk in. And when I walked in and you were there, you know, before me, it was like I was seeing celebrities, I was seeing you know, like the record reps, I was just seeing everything. And it was just and you were on that PA system like crazy, and it was always something going on, to the point that I remember they asked me to do the PA system once, and it was a disaster. It was a disaster. I said, somebody come to the front now because it's going to be a problem. So so you were teaching everybody how to do everything, and for you, like, what was some of your like moments or people that you saw walk through on the first day? Did you see any of the jocks the first day that they were at the station, and any things that you remember about your experience?
Not specifically on the first day, but I know there was definitely some milestones when I worked at the station, and definitely some times that I will always remember, never forget.
Like what? Share with you on the podcast now. Share with us. What are some of the things that you remember? The infamous thing that everybody talks about that I still don't know if it's legend or true or false is the Theo story, the infamous Theo story, right? So this is what I hear, and you can tell me true or false and walk me through what happens, right? So if you listen to, and shout out to Theo, Theo is the biggest DJ out here in LA. And so as the story goes, when Theo is on the air, he does something to where only the special celebrities call, and it's just like he says, hotline is Theo. And, you know, then he presses the button and you're on the air. And so they say one day you hit the hotline and Theo says, you know, hotline, and you come on the air, and he's like, I didn't ask, you know, you as a receptionist to be to use the hotline, or, and this whole thing goes down. Do you remember that story? Is that just urban legend?
Oh no, that's definitely urban legend.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
not familiar with that one at all.
No kidding. Well, that's good. That's good. What was your relationship with Theo? Did it what?
He was always hella cool with me. We never had issues.
Never. Okay. Never. And so for the rest of the jock, I wonder how that story even got out, because I would always hear that story. Yeah. That story was.
It's a lot of stories that got out that I have no idea about.
Like what? Like, what are some of the things? Because you're in a position where, like I said, like things are just kind of come out, and so you don't know. What are some of the things, like the relationships, the stories at the station? Like what are some of the things?
You know, honestly, it's just working around people, and you know, you have some folks that have this clique and other folks that have this clique, and me. I don't fit in here. I don't fit in there. I'm just me. So you get thrown in the mix with all kinds of make believe and imaginary stories. So that's definitely one for me.
Okay, no, definitely. And your relationship. And so, what was your relationship with most of the jocks? So at the time, who were the jocks that were there when you were at the station?
Definitely the house party.
Okay.
And of course, Diana Steele was afterwards, and then um, Theo, of course, and Julio G, and then I forget who was after Julio, but that was the initial lineup when I came aboard. And of course, I was there through, of course, when House Party left and Ed Lover came on, and then after that, it was Steve Harvey. So.
And for you, what was your relationship with most of the jocks?
I was cool with everybody. Honest truth. I was cool with everybody. I mean, I'm a friendly person. I'm not drama driven. So
yeah, and
this is what guides me right here.
your smile,
Exactly.
absolutely. That was the thing. And being in the front desk, and like, what were some of the things that you saw that, because everybody was at the station trying to get something from, and you were like the first line of defense when it came to everybody, whether it be the celebrities wanting to get to the jocks or the people wanting to get music on the air, and kind of walk me through that experience, and kind of your experience, just your day to day over there.
Well, day to day, of course, started with me getting in and handling the mail. And when the phones came on, it was smooth sailing. I love the fact that after a while, I memorized everybody's extension. So I didn't even have to look at the little list. I knew everybody's extension by heart. And that was 20 phone lines. And to this day, I am so grateful that I did that, because I'm the pro with the phone nowadays.
Right. And some, you were saying some of the moments that you would never forget at the station.
Definitely one was when we had a surprise visit from Flavor Flav. And he came in with the horns, the hat with the horns. And I remember that there was a sales meeting going on in the conference room at the time. And he walked in with this big, boom box and music blaring, yo, 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 yo. And he's talking all loud, and that Flavor Flav energy. And
right.
Maxine must have slid them doors open too. What is going on? I was so scared. I'm like, I'm sorry, Maxine. He just walked in. You can't control Flavor.
yeah. That's one of those people that and he ain't gonna be somebody that you can talk down. He just walked through the door. And that's crazy.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was able to convince him, to kind of bring it down a few notches. But after that, it was cool. But that was definitely a moment to remember. I was scared as hell.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And you saw anything, and just being like just a female in kind of like a male dominated industry, so to speak, like that's a whole different energy too. And just as a woman, like, what was your, how did you navigate that?
I stayed in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bother nobody. And, I just maintained a professional reputation and kept it from there.
Right.
Because, entertainment is not what's the term I want to use? They're not welcoming to females. So, it's like you said, it's a male driven profession. And, there's that casting couch, and people expect you to do certain things if you want certain things. And I wasn't that type of female. So I was just in my lane.
Yeah. And the experience with just doing that, when you walked through the doors and you just saw like the different like artists, did they try to holler at you, and what was that like? And is there anybody out there that was trying to really be up in your DMs before there was DMs?
Well, of course, you have sometimes people that are really, really friendly and, want to rub shoulders or whatever. And it was nice to have friendships with those persons. And I still maintain a few friendships with a lot of those persons. I can't say any names, but I built some very lasting relationships at the same time. So
yeah, and that was the biggest thing too, because your relationships was really like, it was important not just for, you know, obviously yourself, but just for the station, because you were like the
right,
face of face walking
exactly.
in, you know, because when you walk to the, like, when you go to labels, you're like, man, I don't like going to this place. Like the energy was off. And so at the
Mhm.
beat, it was always just a different vibe with you being there. And that was super, super dope. And even, you know, with the promotions department and the people coming in, what did you notice the most, you know, or what did you tell people when they first got to the station that was trying to get jobs and get hired? And are there anybody that you remember that you really, you know, because I know even with you were, you know, you allowed me to get experience, and you were just like, be calm, don't worry about things, and you know, you're always there for me. What experiences did you have with other folks at the station like that?
It was always the same. Um I always want to help people, so I don't have a problem with giving some hints or some in and outs or timing issues. When I found out there were jobs available and people that were interested, I'd be like, hey, you need to come fill out your application, talk to this person, blah, blah, blah. I would love to give pointers to people that were interested, people I felt were going to enhance and take the position seriously. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And that was one of the biggest things too. And then just with hip hop being what it was too, a lot of celebs came through. Who are some of the celebs you remember coming through to the station?
Oh my gosh. Tons. My favorite was Lucy Pearl.
Lucy
Um,
Pearl all over the world.
Lucy Pearl.
What
They
happened with
were
Lucy
always a
Pearl?
bunch of fun. Well, sometimes when the talent would have their moments on the air or whatever, they would encourage them to go through the back or take the studio route. And for some strange reason, they actually thought I was cool. And they were like, no, we want to come see you. And I just thought that was the sweetest thing ever. So yeah, Lucy Pearl was cool. 112 was cool. John B was cool. I had a lot of memorable interactions with folks.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's just about, yeah. So John B, Pasadena, where the grass is greener. What were some of your stories with John B? Because we want you to share your experiences, Stephanie. We want to get in your business. What was your experience with John B? Give me some details.
John B he was just cool, everybody was always professional, nothing different with John, but I did have a crush on him.
Okay. That's
But of course, he was taken. He was a spoken for man. So, I kept my distance. I didn't even, wink the eye or nothing like that.
right. And you were over there, and he would come to the station a lot. So that was the
Mhm.
thing. John would be at the station a lot. I know Diana still had a great relationship with him also.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Diana Steele definitely had a great relationship with John B. And then the other thing, and then you got this infamous picture that I always see on Facebook with you and Kobe. What was that picture about?
That's me and Kobe right there.
Yeah, that's the picture right there. You
uh, that was actually an accident. I remember when he came to the station, he was rapping at the time, and it was all about getting his song on the air. And I believe at the time he was with Shelley Sabron, rest in peace, also was a wonderful, wonderful person. She was like big sister to me.
mhm.
It just so happened that they were leaving and she came through the front and she was like, hey, you want to take a picture? I was like, sure. I didn't know who Kobe was at the time. I had no idea.
So
No idea.
he was at the station.
Yes. Wanting to get airplay, of course. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, okay. So Kobe was trying to get airplay at the station
Yep.
for his
For
rap.
his rap song. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yes, yes, yes. And I have no idea what the single or the name of the single was at the time, but yeah,
And
it was monumental.
no kidding. And then and at the
Yeah,
time you didn't know who Kobe was.
I had no idea.
It's just, yeah, and that's the thing that was so crazy about the beat, because you had all these people. Little did you know, like, what he would mean, and just the, in terms of like history, is Kobe was out here pushing records. Kobe was
Right.
out here. People
Not
don't realize that part of the game, and that's interesting too. That was a part of it, and then the other pictures that you all always see is Janet Jackson. What?
Now this one has a lot of our alumni or fellow staff in there as well. But I always remember when it came time to take that picture, I must have ran so I could stand next to Janet.
And tell me about that day. Tell me about that day Janet came to the station. And
oh my God, I was so excited because I love Janet. And wow, I couldn't believe I got to stand next to her. It was super cool. I was nervous, as you can tell. I barely smiled in the photo.
right.
But everybody, of course, had to get there. I think she only took maybe 3 or 4 photos, and you had to take your turn. And we were right in the hallway by the studio door.
Right.
So yeah, so everybody came back there, took their little picture, and then that was the end of it. But it was so cool. It was so cool. I was so happy.
Yeah, that was an amazing day. I was there at the time, and I was in Brian Apple's studio. So he does production.
I remember him.
And he had like a little golf tee in the studio. So, but everybody's like, yo, Janet's coming. And I was like, all right, cool. So I'm over here just chilling in the studio. She walks in and she's like, is this the studio? I guess they were doing, recordings for drops or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they just rushed my ass out the stage. She was like, nah, get. She was super cool, but her people were like, you got to get up out of here or whatever. But I was in the studio with Janet for like all of 5 seconds by myself and her. And yeah, so it was crazy. And I know you have so many moments at the station. What was the energy for you, because you say like at the front desk during the whole the Snoop situation, the West Coast hip hop thing. What were you ever concerned, because we had so many affiliated artists at the time, and it was just so high energy. But did you feel any effects being at the front lines, knowing that all these artists wanted to get their songs played and the different things that were happening? What was your experience with that?
Actually, nothing different. I would say more than anything, it was Summer Jam that was really the big ticker, because we used to do the opening act, and that was mayhem. Oh my God, I got so many people coming to the front door. How can I get my song on the air? And I need to see Theo and who's in charge. Man, it was just crazy. And at first it was difficult for me because I didn't know that you just couldn't dial them up and say, come up front. It was like hardcore gatekeeping. Right. So I had to develop, this persona to where you had to be really stern and just tell people, no, that's not how it goes. It's not that easy. You really need to make sure you take the rules or handle the rules the right way. You have to submit such and such by this date and this time, and we'll call you. You don't come here. Right.
So. And I know you had a lot of repeat offenders over there at the station. My God. Yes. Who are some of those? Do you remember any of the people? I remember Cameraman was one. Okay. I do not. Mm-mm. We had a dude named Cameraman. He would literally come to every promotions hit out, and he would send pictures of us to the radio station. Whoa. Yeah, it was so crazy. So it was just scary. Yeah. So yeah, so that was one of the things too. And I know you probably saw so many different people too. What was your overall experience? Tell me about your experience going to these summer jams. Summer Jam was the bomb. Everybody wanted to be there. Everybody wanted to go backstage. It was just super fun, very hot, and right. It was a lot of fun. I think my first working summer jam was 98, I want to say. And
I remember, I think that was the year Aaliyah was there with Timberland and Missy Genuine. It was a hot show. It was a
And
hot
do you remember seeing Aaliyah at the Summer Jam?
I do.
Okay.
I
And
do.
what was that like for you?
It was great. It was great. She had, awesome energy. She was, the sweetest, nicest person ever you could meet. And it was a great experience.
And what was your job? Wait, say that one more time.
Even though it's hella hot.
It's super high. And then what was like your specific role at the at Summer Jam? Take me to about your experience.
I think the one that I did, I had to usher in. I had a certain artist that I had to walk from, I guess, their area or trailer that they were in into the stage, and that was it. I didn't have anything tremendous or a whole big super duper important responsibility, but the little bit that I had, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And do you remember the artist that you were with?
I do not. I do not. I do
Okay.
not.
Yeah, because there's so many different pictures. What are your favorite like moments? What other pictures do you have at the station at?
I have one more, of course, with Maxwell. This one I got also from Shelly.
So tell me about that day. You and Maxwell looking all booed up.
Can you see the smile on my face?
Oh, it's a big Kool-Aid smile from ear to ear, like you about to say, woo, woo, woo,
I'm about to say, I do.
Exactly. You got that look on your face. So
yes.
Walk me through that day.
That day was, again, definitely memorable because I was a fan of Maxwell, and he came to the station. He was in the studio. I can't remember if it was Big Les. It might have been with Big Les. And I believe, I don't know how, I must have been on lunch or something and happened to walk by, knock on the window. And I came in, and that's where that picture was taken, right in the entrance of the studio. So
yeah, that's dope.
Yes,
dope.
I was so excited. And again, this was just
yeah, it was just glowing, and it's just so many different. Yeah, it's just and the thing is too, because I like with most people, like and that's part of the reason why I do this podcast, because it's a moment back in that time. And especially for you, I knew that those moments meant so much for you too, in terms of just like, just the jocks, the relationships that you have, the moments that you have. It's clearly a special time for you at the station. And you have a dope relationship with the mixers too, Ice and Curse. And
I love to dance, and I'm very particular about the music that I'm dancing to, and I need it to be, everything coming out the speaker has to be the one. And for me, their playlist, their set, the way they mix has always been my favorite. And I listen to that, of course, during traffic jam, in the morning with DJ Curse, and of course, Icy Ice in the afternoon with Theo and Julio G, of course, in the afternoon or late afternoon. So yeah, I'm born on the dance floor. So it's all about getting out there, getting my sweat on for 4 hours.
Yeah.
That is my thing.
Absolutely. And it's so dope too, because when you talk about like the relationship that you had with like so many people at the station, like we really built this family and this friendship bond where you really don't get an opportunity to see that at most businesses either, and especially where in entertainment, where everything is so ego driven.
You ain't never lied.
Yeah, and everybody's just about me, and everybody's about what's my title and this hierarchy or whatever.
There's a lot of that, but still,
absolutely.
Overcame it.
Yeah, we did. And so like with your relationships, like talk to me about some of your favorite relationships and moments with the jocks at the beat.
I would definitely have to say I have a real cool relationship with Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly was always nice to me. So was John London, and so was Dennis Cruz from the House Party, Shirley Strawberry at the same time, and P Funk. So that's the whole that's the whole morning show. Um, let's see. And then when Big Les came in, she was also like big sister to me. And she was always so nice and very sweet. And let's see, who came after that? I would say, well, Theo was cool. You know, he was in his own element, always professional and had his work ethic going more than anything.
And
then
Julio?
Julio was always hella cool. Julio was always hella cool. I did get to work at one of his shows. I think he did a show, I think a West Side Radio show in Orange County or somewhere. And I did get to work that show as well, which was a lot of fun, but that was so long ago. And then of course the mixers, Mike Mann always was top notch. Moni Moan was great. Everybody was always very professional and just friendly, very friendly.
And with the morning show, so you said you developed a relationship. How did that relationship start? Do you remember any of that?
There was an instance where someone actually followed me in one morning from when I went to get the mail, and I'm coming in the doors, and he barged his way in and made his way back to the studio. And it was a big to-do because I couldn't stop him. He was bigger than me, and I'm walking in with this big, U.S. mail tin with tons of stuff in it. And I didn't realize he was right behind me, and he waltzed into the studio. And after that, I remember John London came to my desk, and he was like, well, how did he get back there? And I was like, I don't know. He followed me in here, and I tried to stop him, but I'm not going. There was nothing I could do.
Right.
I'm just little me. And he was way taller, big guy. So
and then,
after that, they actually invited me on the air for a hot second to give that story. And from that point on, everybody was super cool. Super cool.
And that's crazy. And so that was the first time you were on the actual radio.
Yes.
And what's going through your mind at that point? You're about to be on the air at the #1 station doing mornings. Like what walk me through that?
Nothing in particular. I was just telling my story about what happened. I didn't, I wasn't nervous or anything. It just came out.
and did people call you? They're like, oh, I heard you on the radio and all that stuff. No kidding.
No.
And so at that,
it was real short. It wasn't anything prolonged or drawn out extravagantly or anything like that. But yeah, definitely memorable because I got questioned about it, and I'm like, no, for real, I had no idea he was behind me, and he just waltzed right in and back to the back. And I honestly thought, maybe they're expecting him or something, but turned out that he was just, that's the word, trespassing.
Yeah. And that was the thing about the beat. That's when we did have some big ass bodyguards at the beat that were family too. Yosh, Gerald, and Eric, and I mean these brothers they're like family, or RP to Gerald and Yosh and so and what was your relationship with those guys?
Oh, great, because they, like you said, they was our protectors. So you had to be friendly with them because, I mean, they gonna save you. So
did anything? Do you remember any particular situations where you had to be like, "Yo, come over here," or "Eric, come over here"?
No, because I had. You know what? Let me go back. I think after that little situation that happened with the guy that walked to the back, that's when I got the little buzzer thing where the gate to let people through, they put that gate there. So that was a response to the intruder that happened to walk through the station. And then they also installed the camera too before or outside in the elevator lobby. So
So you had you had the whole situation. What was like the craziest thing that ever happened? Because obviously we have security, we have cameras, we have buzzers, and you're the first line of defense. Like, what are some of the craziest things that you've seen at the front desk?
To me, that was it. I never had anybody barge in like that before.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody else, I didn't have too much trouble. People would come, and like I said, for the summer jam, and they wanted to make sure that their submission got in on time. That was the extent of anybody really misbehaving. But
and how about like pop-up people? Because the beat was infamous for people just kind of celebrities just popping up and showing up. And do you remember any of those things? I remember like the first time I went to the beat, I don't remember who it was some celebrity. I was like, oh my God, they're here in the front desk. Like, what was your experience with just people that just showed up like celebs, and who were some of them?
I would definitely say DJ Quick.
Okay.
Quick always was coming through.
Right.
One of my favorites, of course, again, because he's from Compton. And let's see, it's just too many to remember. I think I remember the time, well, I don't think he didn't pop in unannounced. Master P came in. Okay. And that was back in the time when they had the doll. I still have the doll, the Master P doll.
Right.
He doesn't say anymore.
No. Shout out to P. That's my guy.
He needs new batteries, but I still have the doll.
It still worked though.
It still works. But that was definitely, I think, definitely DJ Quick, I would have to say, was the most repetitive, because he would either come through the front or through the back if he didn't have, access. So yeah.
And yeah, that's dope. And it was just like, how about Tyrese? Any Tyrese sightings at the station?
Probably a few times, but he more so went through the back. I don't recall him coming to the front at all.
Okay. Mm-mm. And go ahead. And for you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember, I want to say it was, gosh, who was that? And I was so embarrassed because I didn't know his name and I couldn't pronounce his name. He was a rapper from the East Coast. Who was that? Not Memphis Bleak. Gosh, who was it? Somebody that Jay-Z was tight with. I can't think of it, but he was nice, but I was embarrassed because he was trying to Beanie Siegel. That's
Beanie Siegel. Okay, got you.
And I think he had just been released or something, because I think he did some time behind bars, and he came to the station, and I was having the hardest time pronouncing his name. I was like,
who is you?
So embarrassed because I didn't know who he was.
Right.
But yeah, that was one memorable instance. I remember there was a time when Shaq came to the station, and he came to my desk, and I had this countertop here, and then there was another countertop about there.
Right.
Well, I remember when Shaq came, my head was all the way back like this because he was so tall.
Right.
That was funny, but I was like, "Oh, hi."
And yeah, you and Shaq, and what was your conversation with Shaq?
He was just like, "Yeah, I'm here to do the interview."
I like your Shaq impersonation. Let me hear that again. Let me hear your Shaq impersonation again.
I'm here to do the interview.
And so much LA love. I mean, Kobe, Shaq. Is there anybody that like similar to the Kobe experience that you came through and you didn't know who they were, and then they ended up becoming like a big star?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Not at all.
That was it. I knew everybody else.
Right. And now that you're at the B, what was like your experience just with your friends and family when you were at the B, and how they respond with the tickets and the whole 9 yards?
Mm-hmm. All I have to say is my sister came up. She got everything. She got everything. She has probably a photo album with all her laminates and ticket stubs and everything that she got to go to. Mind you, she was a senior in high school at the time, so all her friends were envious.
Right. And
yeah, she got to do a lot, from video shoots to meet and greets, all kinds of stuff. So
and I mean, life-changing stuff. And it was just because it was just, being at that station, and for you, it was like, I can always, because like people that like I can tell you enjoyed being there. You enjoyed being at the station. What was it about the station that you really liked, and what made you just so about it at the station?
I would have to say my personality, I'm a people person. So being there and meeting people was right up my alley. So I fit. I was in my element. Just happened to click. So for me, it wasn't about the celebs. I mean, well, of course everybody gets riled up or whatever, but me actually having been around the industry growing up with my mother, and I treated everybody the same. So it was just cool meeting people for me. I love coming across different people and different personalities and learning, different cultures and stuff. That's always been my thing with people. So
yeah, and it's so dope. And going back to your mom, because you said that your mom worked at KGLH, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and so kind of talk. You said you've been in the business, and kind of walk me through that. So like, and so when did you realize like mom was working at like a radio station, and how old were you, and was there ever a bug for you to be about radio? What was your relationship with your mom like?
Well, we did get, of course, the tickets and stuff growing up, and I didn't really realize it until I was probably about in the 6th grade. And I don't know if you remember the Ice Capades.
Yeah, I remember the Ice Capades. Yeah.
So we got tickets to the Ice Capades, and lo and behold, I guess the intermission section was New Edition performing, and that was my 6th grade graduation gift from my mother. And it was at the Forum, and we actually went to the Forum Club afterwards, and I met New Edition in the 6th grade. So
wow.
Yeah, that's when I realized, I was like, whoa, this is so cool.
And so what's the conversation with you and your mom? Like, your mom just introduced you to New Edition. What did you ask your mom about her job? Or
I didn't say much because I was starstruck.
Right.
But she, she was just like, I got this tickets from the station. It was common. Either her and my dad were always going out to some party or something, and yeah, they were always going places. And we had tickets, for the circus and all kinds of events that were going on. I remember I had a press folder that I used to take to school. It had the logo. Back then it was this like money green, and it had their slogan was "We Are You" at the time. So I remember having that, and I remember going to school one day and I took the Stevie Wonder record that had "Happy Birthday" on it to Martin Luther King tribute.
Right.
And I remember my mother gave me the album, and it had on the front in these big red letters KJLH with the promotional stamp only, for promotional use only stamp.
Right.
So I got to brag, oh, my mom works in the radio station. So, it was Martin Luther King Day, and it's like, here, we can play the happy birthday song. So it was hella cool.
That's dope.
I bragged a little bit.
Yeah, that's super dope. And for you, because I want to get back to the KJLH stuff, like what radio stations were you listening to as a kid?
Definitely KJLH.
That was the only one?
KJLH, KGFJ, K-Ace, and then of course my mother would not allow rap in our house, so I had to sneak and listen to K-Day.
Got you. So, and then when did your mom ever take you to KJLH?
Oh yeah, Yeah, all the time.
What was that like for you to like? Because the first time I went to a radio station, like it literally blew my mind. I think that was part of the reason why I fell in love with it. What was that experience for you, like when your mom took you to the radio station?
Very. I was very curious, seeing the reels, because this was in the 70s, so they still had, the reels and the 8-track plug-in tapes and stuff then, and all these buttons and the big board and the microphones and everything. It was just gigantic, and seeing all of that was intriguing, very intriguing. This was back when they used to have the space on Crenshaw. I think it was 3847 Crenshaw, which is right next door to Angela's funeral home. Yeah,
Got you.
right there. So we got to go in and see her desk, and she told me about airplay and how they have to have the songs have the same tempo and they come on after each other. And then she also told me about how never, ever, 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 ever have dead air, because people got in trouble for that.
Right.
Always supposed to have something on the air. And there were times that we'd be listening at home or in the car, and there's a little section of dead air, and she would say, "Uh-oh."
And that's so crazy.
I got used to understanding a lot of the terms early on.
Right. And that's so interesting. And what was your mom's title at the station one more time at KJLA?
She worked in the accounts receivable department.
Account receivables. And so when you saw all of this, when it came to like career day or what you wanted to choose for a profession, did entertainment interest you, or did you is this something mom did?
I wanted to dance.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted to dance.
No
That's
kidding.
why when I met Big Lev, I was like, oh my God, she's so cool.
and tell me about that too. And so what inspired you to like dance? What was your inspiration about dance?
Well, I had classes at a very early age. I took tap, I took ballet, I took jazz. And then growing up, I also, I had my little dance group in high school, and we did talent shows in the city, and had a couple of specific signing engagements. And I wanted to be a fly girl. That was all I cared about, in living color fly girl.
And it's so interesting. And so now you want to be a fly, and you see that. And so you're out here in LA, and LA is not, the dance culture in LA is not really, it's not big. They had things like Carnival and different things that we had, but you really had to be in the know. What was like for you, what made you, what was the direction that you saw yourself going in terms of dance, and what were some of your experiences?
Well, after high school, I kind of like gave up, because I don't know, I was in a group, and of course groups fall apart and people move, and I kind of decided I want to do choreography, and then it kind of just fell off because I let somebody talk me out of it, sadly, but yeah.
And who was that person?
Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember somebody telling me, oh, that's a very competitive position, and you may not be able to make it all the way, and it's a lot of hard work, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of just let that deter me, which I wish I hadn't. But
and it's so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting because when you are on the pursuit of your dreams, and I think that's what happened, because even when I was going to the beat, I had that same conversation with somebody. Mm-hmm. And my brother's like he was working at a film company, and it was a receptionist she worked for different companies also. And I told them, I was like, yo, I was thinking about going to the beat. And she said, no, you shouldn't go there because it's too big. You don't have any experience, and you may be able to, you'll lose that opportunity because you'll mess up or something will happen. It's better that you go somewhere small and then go there. And what I just did it anyway. I was like, you know what's the worst thing that could happen? And And that literally led me to my career path and, meeting you and everything else just by that one decision, and it's just so funny how, people, with that don't share your vision can deter you from your destiny. And I think that's such a important lesson to kind of take from that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't listen to her.
Yeah, it's it's such a trip. So when you meet Big Les, what's that energy like, and what are your conversations about dance, and does she try to plug you in, or how does that work?
Actually, I was still so very timid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really engage her on that aspect of her career because I felt like, everybody did, and I didn't want to be like everybody. I didn't want to, come off and just seem insensitive to, what she was doing at the time because, she was on air, not
Mm-hmm.
dancing. So that was her focus.
Mm-hmm.
But we became very good friends. She was always the sweetest to me. I loved her, and just her energy too was very upbeat, very jovial, and always laughing, always smiling.
And
And
did you ever have that conversation with her? You guys are tight, you guys are friends. Did you ever have that conversation about that crossroads with, that conversation, and what was that like?
actually, no, I never brought it up. I did tell her that I like to dance and I was into dancing, but it never really went past there because I was still very young and, like I said, very timid and shy about talking about certain things to people because I didn't want it to come off like a groupie. So
And how about now? When do you talk to Les now?
I haven't talked to her in a while. No.
Yeah, you should. I literally just saw her at Pee Wee's birthday party, and
Really?
and I would suggest that you guys talk and connect and have that conversation. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that
she's
would.
cool.
Yeah, I think you should have that conversation about, about the dance. I think it'd be dope, and those relationships that you have. What was your relationship with you said Ben Kelly was your favorite. What Ben Kelly house party? Tell me about why you gravitated to him.
He was always hella friendly. I just love people that made me laugh. And, he would always be uplifting and friendly, and he was just cool all the way around.
Yeah. He was,
Mm-hmm.
he was one of those people. I think he lived on Clemson Street, across the street where Target is. It was a Fedco. He used to always tell me that. I remember he used to tell me that all the time. He would tell me the same shit. I'd be like, Ben, oh yeah. Shout out to Ben Kelly.
Yes.
and so you're at the beat, you got the experience of all experiences, and then at a certain point the beat transitions and it's not there
Oh,
anymore. What were
yeah.
those days like, and did you see it coming, or what was that like?
It was difficult because when they changed from 92.3 to 100.3, I always remember we had like a little party going on, and in the front there was like a band playing like I don't know what the name of the instrument is, but it's like the one that you hear when you're in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And they were playing, and I'm still trying to answer the phones, trying to answer the phones, and I'm like, hey, I can't.
Right. So why?
But
So the band is playing because of the transition of the radio station.
yes, it was like a party that day.
Got you.
A hard time trying to hear and answer phone calls at the same time with this going on right in front of my face. But hey, I managed. It was cool. But I was sad because those were our numbers, 92.3, and then to move over to 100.3, and then they had the mega thing, and it was sad. It was sad.
And then when you were at the beat, like, what was that conversation with you, Stephanie? You've given so much to the radio station. You're a part of the story of the radio station. Walk me through those days.
Well, I I'm a very, very small part.
I know, don't say that. You're not a small part. You're not a small part of the station, because I think that when it comes down to, if all cylinders aren't moving, it doesn't
That's
run.
true. The
It
machine
doesn't
don't
run.
work.
It shit don't work. Like, it really doesn't work. And so we may not have been the face. I wasn't like the face of the beat, but those things, those elements made it what it was. It was a collective effort.
Right.
And if it wasn't with you at the front desk, the streets, all these different things, then Theo's not Theo, and Julio, it's just a different energy, and everybody's played their role. So no, I definitely think you're an intricate part of it. And so those days before that portion of it, what does Max tell you, and does she warn you, and what happens?
I think, she did let me know that there was going to be a band playing, but it was just, a little bit of a fight because I couldn't hear.
No, not so much the band, but like just the station transitioning and having to move on from the station.
I don't know, honestly. I think I remember reading the press releases that, were sent out. That's, I think, how I remember finding out. I don't think that, there was an actual conversation where I was told, this is what's going to happen. No, it was just by ear. Kind of like having to just find out on your own, per se. But it hurt. It hurt to see the numbers go. And then, I had to get used to saying 100.3 the beat on the phones when I answered for 92.3. And then it was an interesting transition.
Yeah. And so the 100.3 to be, and then when you actually leave the station, how does that happen?
Oh, well, it wasn't by choice.
Right.
I remember this was at the moment when Radio 1 came in and purchased the station, and that's when Steve Harvey came on, and there was some interesting banter going on between myself and some of the other employees there, but that was basically how that ended. But it was cool, I had a wonderful time being there, and it was a lot of fun. Definitely the best job I've ever had, next to escrow.
Right.
But, yeah.
And yeah, such a reflective moment. And then you're at the station, like, in one of those things that obviously, yeah, we'll never forget. We're always a part of, and then, and now you're at the next stage of your life. And from the beat, what are some of the things that you take from the beat that you kind of implement in your day-to-day, and how the next stage works for you?
Well, I'm the queen of the phone. We actually just let go of our receptionist at the job that I'm working at now. So, when I answer phones, I go back to that, memorizing everybody's extension, and I can transfer calls, and I have been told that I'm the best person on the phone.
Right.
By our CEO. So I definitely attribute that to working at the radio station. Plus, my grandmother was a phone operator as well for the Holiday Inn back in the day. So
no kidding.
Yes.
And
back
so
when they had the earphone and you pull out the cord and stick it in the wall.
That is wow. That's wild. That's wild. And now, you're at the next space in your journey, and for you, what's bringing you joy and what's next?
Well, right now I am working at an escrow company. I'm an escrow officer, and I love escrow. It's crazy, when you buy a house, you got your buyer and your seller, and this one wants keys, this one wants the money, and it's a wild ride.
That's dope.
Right.
That's dope. And it's like, it's the same type of excitement, and that, it's just a slightly different, but it's a different energy in a different space.
Yes. again, I
And
get to learn and meet all types of people, and I work in Beverly Hills. So, I've still been able to keep the celebrity aspect of it. I handled a couple of celebrities escrows. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I didn't meet them. I actually dealt with their attorneys and personnel, but it was very cool to say, I did John Legend's escrow and he sold his property. I helped with Elon Musk's property, Tyrese's, and it's been hella cool. It's been
that's
hella cool.
dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. And then and everybody at the beat, do you still talk to everybody outside of the mixers?
Let me see. I do. I have had a few conversations with Moni Moon off and on. You remember Lisa? That was assistant to Mike Mann.
Yeah, Lisa, yeah.
Yeah. Her daughter just had a birthday a couple days ago.
Okay.
Jasmine, I remember her name.
Yeah, because Lisa was working at the country station for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ben Kelly, I keep up with on Facebook. So, I just saw a couple photos from him and his family, and they've all grown so. And I think that's about it from the station, actually. I think that's about it. And you, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. We go keep in contact, and it's so dope, and I want to thank you so much for just kind of taking us down, memory lane and your experience and your part of being a part of the beat and our experiences too. And I want to thank you too, just for making me feel comfortable and giving me the confidence to walk into these spaces too. Yeah, I thought that was so important, and that's why I wanted to, definitely have you on and thank you so much. So we had to get you here and continue. And your homework is to talk to Les. Talk to Les, because I'm gonna have to play her this interview. So, talk to Les and have that conversation about the dance, because I think that's dope. And I don't think that you should let it go. You know what I mean? So absolutely.
Well, she did. She had a clothing line that was based on dance. It was #5678. And I remember I bought a couple of T-shirts from her. So yeah.
yeah, definitely link up with Les, because she's cool people, no doubt. But thank you so much, Steph Lee. B.Woods on the Mic podcast. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.